I've had a whole lot of fun with the turbo Miata and its 1.6 liter Mazda Miata engine, but I think it's time for us to upgrade, get a little bit more displacement, get a little bit more torque. This car right here, I love it, and it fulfills a lot of really cool things. Small displacement, 1.6, turbocharged, makes all the spoolie sounds. Typically I run this around 350 horsepower, and for the track and going drifting, it's a handful. It teaches you so much, but I think it's time to elevate and get into a new car, new build. Not gonna say right off the bat it's gonna be a full-on caged out drift car like this thing is. Something different. It's going to fulfill a different need.
Give it to me.
I actually picked up my LS. This is a 6-liter all aluminum block. It is a L76. To the best of my understandings, this is basically an LS2 bottom end with LS3 heads. It has an 823 casting on there. We gotta tear this thing down and see how it's looking on the inside. Paint's pretty clean, not too bad. I'm not seeing any sludge. Turns pretty nice. I don't know how long it's been sitting. It's probably a little bit dry, so I'll keep the spinning to a minimal here. Everything's looking super good. So we're gonna throw this back together just so it's sealed up for now. Oil pickup tube is also clean. I don't see anything in there as far as like debris in the pickup screen. Not too bad. We got that nice golden color. The sticker said it had 167,000 miles. And if we look at this just by the tarnish, there's no crazy residue. Oil was definitely changed on this vehicle, so that is a great sign. Everything turned out looking really good on this engine. I'm super pumped. I got a 6-liter all aluminum block LS here. So next we're gonna have to plug up a lot of these holes and spray it down with degreaser, just clean it all up, and then we're gonna dive into adding parts. That's kind of the problem I'm having with LS stuff. And there's so many different parts. There's so many different avenues and ways you can go about it. Fresh, fancy, shiny new parts. The only thing really left to do is get started and tearing this thing down, start putting these parts on the motors, popping my LS cherry. We have a little bit less compression than an LS3 and also the displacement of an LS2. 6-liter LS3 heads should be making some pretty good power. We're gonna have to get rid of the AFM or DOD. That is basically cylinder shutdown, turning 8 cylinders into 4 cylinders. We got to get rid of that whole system. This is about as far as we are going to take this engine down as far as teardown goes. From here, we are going to start building up. Oil pan pickup is now in the front of the engine. I did have to modify the windage tray just a little bit to get everything to clear there. We actually have the pan here. Baffled front oil sump from Canton Racing. That's going to be nice. Here we are on the top side of the engine now. You can see all the sealing surfaces I've gone ahead and cleaned off. I've also put in stop plugs. We've also got a Michigan Motorsports. It is a drift cam, stage 3. Here are the specs for you. In case you're wondering, you can pause and take a look. Should be fairly rowdy. On top of that, new timing chain, 3-bolt cam gear. We also got a new Melling pump on here. I believe this is the 10296. We can go ahead and put lifters in pretty soon. I also took off the rear cover. We have front and rear main seals replaced. The rear cover was taken off. I replaced the barbell from the plastic original one to a metal one, and new gaskets, of course. Like every other LS video you've probably seen, those have all been pressed out. The rest of these, they all have comp cams, trending kit upgrade. They now have C-clips, much better bearing. Another thing, when I was changing out valve springs, One of my exhaust valves, the very tip of it broke off. I almost thought it was like a shim, but nope, the tip of that valve, so I had to buy one exhaust valve. We now have some 660 lift dual valve springs installed on these cylinder heads. Before we get the cylinder heads installed, we are going to have to install the lifters and the lifter trays. These are Brian Tooley Racing Delphi LF7. That's where I got these from. Come in this kind of neat tray. I cleaned all these up and they've been sitting in just some 10W30. So we're going to enter those into the lifter trays.
Nice.
Plop them down into the lifter bores. A little bit of a wiggle. There they are. Now we're going to want to give this a nice hefty wipe down and get all of that oil off of the mating surface for the head gasket. Always make sure you got clean surfaces when you're putting on head gaskets. Now we got our bolts for the lifter trays. Keep those in place. We've got some ARP. These are actually bolts, not studs. I mean, the price difference just between the studs and the bolts are, I think, pretty large. The bolts are going to do just fine. I'm not sure if you can actually reuse the ARP bolts or not. That'd be nice if you could. I'll have to look into that. Looking at the instructions they provide, they even give you torque specs and sequence for you, so that's super nice. Here we go with the head gasket. Nicely labeled. 6 liter. These are also from Brian Tooley Racing. Get these dowels lined up here, clean mating surface, just like that. Other head gasket here, everything lined up nice. They have a side that is, it's like rough, and then they have a smooth side. The rough side goes down. That prevents the washer from spinning as you're tightening against the cylinder head. Kind of neat. They state to apply lube to the threads themselves as well as the bottom side of the bolt head. Once this thing starts to work its way down, it'll get evenly distributed. Don't need to go too crazy, just a nice light coating. Plop her in. Another item we have here is this. This is an ICT billet valley cover. It's got O-rings on it, so it will cover all the ports, even though they are blocked off. Kind of a secondary precaution. Maybe they leak past these a little bit, or maybe these get a little loose over time. We'll have a secondary option to kind of keep these ports sealed up and allow less oil pressure loss internally, basically. I just had a good friend, actually Justin, you've seen his 240 on the channel before. He had this laying around, so he's letting me use it. Nice billet piece to throw on top. One man's junk is another man's treasure, you know? Never take that for granted. So with the Michigan Motorsport cam kit that I got, the Drift LS3 Stage 3 cam kit, it comes with stock length push rods. Now because the cylinder head or the block was not decked, it's got the same baseline circle diameter as a stock cam on the camshaft. These stock length push rods should work perfectly fine. So we're just going to throw a little lube on there and get those in. These are our rocker kits. I did put a Comp Cams trunnion upgrade. This will ensure that we have a more reliable, robust valve train setup, so that is a good upgrade. I just had to swap them out. You got 16, and that did take a little bit of time, but it is worth the hassle. Now that we've got all that buttoned up, this engine is now pretty much complete. We are gonna have to probably seal it up. I might throw the intake on. We do have a truck motor intake. I'll see if I can find an LS3. If not, maybe we just cut a hole through the hood, get the valve covers back on. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. What should we put this in? There's a reason why these are the go-to for 300, 400, 500 horsepower, naturally aspirated. If we wanted to throw a little bit of boost at this guy, we're looking at 6, 7, 8. Tried and true, package is nice and small. I mean, these things do fit in Miatas. I've had a lot of fun working on my first LS build. I can see right away, anyone who gets their hands on these, why they build these, because they're so easy, they're so simple. Stay tuned, because we are gonna have a ton of fun with it. Thanks for sticking around. We'll see you next time.